Fear does not need to break you to control you. It just needs to narrow you. That is the part most people miss. Most control does not begin with force. It begins with tension, a raised voice, a threat you cannot fully name, a feeling that something bad could happen if you say the wrong thing next. And the moment fear enters the room, your world gets smaller, your thoughts get shorter, your honesty gets weaker, your options start disappearing. You stop asking, "What is true?" and start asking, "What keeps me safe?" That is the shift. Because once survival becomes the priority, freedom becomes negotiable. That is why fear is such an efficient weapon, not only in abusive relationships, in families, in workplaces, in friend groups, online, everywhere. Fear changes the kind of mind you use. When you feel threatened, you do not think the same way. Your attention locks onto danger. Your body wants relief. Your reasoning starts serving protection instead of truth. And that is where control gets easy. Because once someone teaches your nervous system that peace depends on pleasing them, they do not need to control you every time. You start doing it for them. You speak more carefully. You hide reactions faster. You shrink opinions before they cause consequences. You edit your own personality just to keep the temperature down. You call it maturity. You call it avoiding drama. You call it keeping the peace. But sometimes, it is training. That is what fear-based control really is. Training by discomfort. Training by uncertainty. Training by consequences that do not always look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes it is shouting. Sometimes it is colder than that. A delayed reply. A sudden silence. A public correction. A look that says you made a mistake. A shift in tone that makes your stomach drop before your mind even understands why. That kind of fear is powerful because it is inconsistent. And inconsistent fear is one of the hardest things for a human mind to relax around. If the rule is clear, you can prepare for it. If the rule keeps moving, you stay alert. And alert people are easier to manage. They over-explain, they overread, they apologize early, they comply faster. Not because they agree, because they are tired. That is why some of the most controlled people do not look controlled. They look calm, reasonable, careful, easygoing. But inside, they are running constant calculations. How do I say this without triggering something? How do I keep this from turning into a problem? How much of myself do I need to hide to get through this conversation cleanly? That is not peace. That is adaptation under pressure. And fear does something even darker than silence. It makes surrender feel smart. It can make silence feel mature. It can make self-betrayal feel responsible. It can make someone slowly disappear while believing they are just being wise. You see it in relationships where one person punishes honesty, so the other stops bringing things up. You see it in workplaces where people are afraid to look stupid. So bad ideas survive because nobody wants to challenge them. You see it online where outrage, panic, and social pressure keep people reactive. And reactive people are easier to direct. That is another truth most people miss. Fear does not only make people obedient, it makes them hungry for certainty, hungry for authority, hungry for someone who sounds definite, hungry for any voice that can reduce ambiguity fast. That is why manipulation often arrives wearing the mask of protection. I am just trying to help you. You need me. You are not safe without me. Nobody else is telling you the truth. I know what is best here. Listen closely, and you will hear the offer underneath all of it. Give me your judgment, and I will give you relief. That is the deal. And when someone is scared enough, it can feel worth it. Because fear does not only distort what you see, it distorts what feels possible. A small disagreement starts to feel dangerous. A boundary starts to feel risky. A truthful sentence starts to feel expensive. And once that happens, control no longer needs force. It only needs your anticipation. So what breaks the pattern? Usually not one dramatic moment. Usually something quieter. You notice that fear has been making decisions before your mind gets a vote. You notice that your body is rushing to prevent punishment even when no one has earned that much power over you. You notice that certain people only seem strong when you are afraid. That changes everything. Because fear becomes control when it goes unquestioned. The moment you slow it down, some of its power starts collapsing. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to ask one dangerous question. What would I say right now if I were not afraid? Then another. Who benefits every time I panic? And maybe the most important one. Why does this person, this system, or this dynamic need me scared in order to work? Healthy love does not need your fear. Healthy leadership does not need your fear. Healthy influence does not need your fear. Only fragile control does. Real strength does not make you smaller to keep you close. It makes you steadier, clearer, harder to confuse. So the next time fear rushes in, do not just ask what you are feeling. Ask what fear is trying to make you surrender. Because some of the strongest control in your life will never come from a locked door. It will come from the moment fear convinces you to hand over your own mind.